Mark, here you are, picking up episode number 2 with Mr. Tracy Dieterich. And I've got to say, it's been a joy and a pleasure and an honor to hear a guy that has made peace with his life only to find Jesus.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how at the beginning it's kind of everyone's a little bit hesitant, but the second episode we're like best friends.
So
Tracy, later telling about all our failures.
This is live. I have more failures far than successes. If we're just honest about it, right?
Way more.
But you've got a great, if you don't mind retelling the fable.
So there was a story about a lion, a donkey, and a fox that went hunting together, and after a big long day of hunting, they had all these rabbits they had killed. So the lion says to the donkey, "Mr. Donkey, why don't you take this big pile of rabbits and divide it equally between the 3 of us?" So the donkey goes over and very carefully divides this big pile of rabbits into 3 equal piles and says, "There you go." To which the lion pounces on the donkey, kills the donkey, piles all the rabbits back up together with the donkey, and then turns to the fox and says, "Mr. Fox, now I'd like you to divide our kill from today evenly and fairly between the 2 of us." So the fox walks over to the pile, thinks about it for a second, takes one little scrawny rabbit for himself, puts it in his pile, leaves the rest and says, "The rest is yours, Mr. Lion." And the lion said, "Where did you learn how to divide so fairly?" And he said, "The donkey taught me."
It's a good allegory.
And do you find that most of the time, you're the donkey? I personally feel like I'm the donkey most of the time.
Here's my promotion coming.
So, last episode, this is kind of our story. How many men have we sat down with and we've heard so many commonalities of made lots of money, or I pursued lots of money? No, that wasn't it. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's this other. Nope, that's not it. And then something happens in their life where they go, I've got to change something. I like the way you said it, Tracy. And we've heard this before, obviously. The only common denominator in these failed relationships that you spoke of in the previous episode really was you.
Yeah.
And so many men, they have difficulties acknowledging their own crap, is what I call it. And until you can own your own crap, it's hard to get free of your crap.
Because you can laugh about it.
Yeah. And maybe on this episode, if you could walk us, you said some words about insecurity, will I be enough? Mm-hmm. Will this be enough? Can you maybe just elaborate on that just a little bit more, and then talk about your journey, and really, how does your faith now play into this? And how does your faith bring us as men to a sense of, I am enough with Jesus Christ in my life. I'm not enough. I'm not enough without Him. But man, when I found Him, I started realizing it's not about me.
That's right.
So if you can pick it up with there, what are some of the insecurities or the not enough parts that you were searching and seeking for? And then what was it that turned you to realize I'm missing something, and then somehow you get through it? What is that?
Well, the short answer on that question of, what sort of turned the corner on all that is just, it's being the donkey, is just making mistakes after mistakes after mistakes, and through failure, and I've had failure in business. Hey guys, it hasn't all been rosy, and I could talk to some of that if you want, and failure in relationships, and really failure in just about every area, and you keep pushing through it, but the story about the donkey is important because we can learn from watching other people do it right. You can say, hey, that's the kind of marriage I want to have, that's the kind of physical health I want to have, that's the kind of financial life I want to have, that's the kind of travel I want to do. But you can also watch people do it wrong and say, that's not the kind of marriage I want to have, that's not the kind of father I want to be. I grew up without a father. I don't have to. I'm not a tree. I have the choice. I can be different. I can make a change. I can learn. Right, like the donkey. So Jesus comes into that because we can learn through life experiences, but I just don't believe any of it's really possible in a fulfilling long-term way without Him. Just like relationships. Life isn't all about making money and ending up one day with a pile of money and you're in a hospital and dying, right? It's about family and about friendships, about relationships. And, who would you call if it's 3:30 in the morning and you're on your way home and you have a flat tire and you're on the side of 59? That's not a very long list for me. Most guys, it's a very small list. In fact, you'd hate to call anybody, but, if you only had one phone call, who's that one person that would say, I'll come get you, man. No problem. I don't care how far. I don't care how long. I don't care why. I'll be there. So, to me, the first answer to that is Jesus. I mean, but Jesus needs to be first, not our last call, our first phone call. And for me, it just took so many years to continue to struggle with the self-identity, fear of failure, that question, am I enough? Do I have enough? And I think all men, if you really get down to it, if you peel back the layers and the protection and the, I'm Superman and all that stuff, I think we all ask that question. John Eldridge talks about it a lot in his books, and one of the chapters in Wild at Heart is called Do I Have What It Takes? And he talks about it's actually a separate book too, and I gave a bunch of them away because I think just parenting is so important. It talks about the differences between little boys and little girls and how God made us different. And with little boys, their question is, do you think I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes, Dad? And so he says to breathe that into your boys and say, you have what it takes, son, you have what it takes. But you've got to have Jesus to have what it takes, the Holy Spirit. And for little girls, they're different, and they want to know, do you think I'm lovely? And then he also says these words, and do you think I'm worth fighting for? And I remember reading that and thinking, I just don't understand that. What do you mean, am I worth fighting for? But he talks as you go into his books and also his boot camp, which is fantastic in Colorado. I really recommend it. About, do you think I'm worth fighting for is, fighting for your marriage, is staying in the game. Yeah. Do you think I'm worth fighting for to chase your daughter down and to put in boundaries, and they like that, and they grow up better. They don't hate you because you have boundaries. They actually love you more because you have boundaries. And I think all that picture. The reason I use that is that's Jesus too. Jesus is our Father, right? And so we like it more when we have boundaries. I mean, the Bible isn't just a book of rules. It's not that at all. It's a book of love, right? And I think we look at it too many times like it's this book of rules and things I have to do and I can't do, not a book of love. And that Jesus did all the work. We don't have to do anything. He died on the cross. I mean, all we have to do is worship Him. I mean, his mantra to us is real simple: love me more than anybody else. Love other people. Love God. Love people. Right?
Yeah. So, at what point? How old were you when you started coming to this realization that, man, the truth is about my life, I don't think I am enough. Will I make enough? Right? How old are you at this point when you're actually coming to this self-actualization of, man, I've got some personal things I got to address?
It might be yesterday. I mean, I still struggle with that, right? Don't we all kind of, just got to, we needed humility, we need, less pride and less ego. We need it to be about more Jesus and less me. That's what I try to wake up and get on my knees in the morning, just as a really, not just say that, but like figuratively get down on my knees and start with, hey, you're God, I'm not. Let's start there. The rest is all gravy. I picked that up from someone, Fred Caldwell, that I heard speak at Toolbox. So I don't know what age it was. I mean, I think it's just, again, whatever place you are in life, that doesn't take you very long to keep running your head into a wall and going, this isn't working. Whatever it is, whether it's, money, power, fame, just that feeling inside of do I have enough and what would make me happy? Because even in marriage, even though I have this great, godly, Christian just wife that I'm so thankful for, she's not perfect, and she couldn't fulfill me. She's not that perfect puzzle piece. Only Jesus is. And same for her. I can't fulfill her. I mean, I'll never be. But Jesus is enough. Yeah. Always will be, always has.
So maybe, Tracy, maybe you could give us an example of how you struggle with something on your own, and then with Jesus, that's when the transformation happened, to give our listeners something more tangible and kind of get a picture of them, kind of the before and after, what it looked like for you.
Well, lots of examples, but, with relationships, I mean, that's what I think of. I mentioned earlier that, magical. One day I'm on the ski lift. I'm with a buddy of mine named Brad, one of my close friends. And we're riding up the ski lift, and all I want to do is go hang out with my buddy Brad and ski. And I don't even know that this girl is sitting with us on the lift. I don't even know that she's sitting there. So people see my wife now and say, oh my gosh, you were checking her out. I'm like, I didn't even know she was there. And it was this perfect, thing that had to happen. She was with her dad skiing. We were with a different group. We were all at the same resort. Her dad was leaving. She didn't even want to go back to the resort to say bye. Her friends were on their way out there. Her dad's like, no, come back. He and I are going to get out and go ski for the afternoon by ourselves.
The wrong places.
Testosterone trip. And we ended up, sitting on the same lift, which you couldn't plan. But I could tell within a couple of minutes, and it's embarrassing for me to say, because if you met me, I think Tracy was a Christian. Some people that know me really closely would know that. But I think the truth is, if I had been pulled over and arrested and been charged with being a Christian, there wouldn't have been enough evidence to convict me. I mean, they would have said, I don't see anything that makes me think this guy's a Christian. Mm. And Valerie, on the other hand, who's just out skiing and has all her, head mask and all this stuff, so you couldn't even see anything other than, maybe lips. Somehow within the first 5 or 10 minutes of just chatting once we figured out we were sitting there and she heard us talking about Texas, and Brad and I used to work together in Dallas years ago. And, where are you from? What do you do? All that kind of stuff. Somehow it came up that she was a Christian. And I think it's because I found out she went to Baylor. I went to Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. And but somehow it came out about faith, and she said something to the effect of, it's the most important thing in my life. And I thought, wow. I mean, not only would I never even say that, I would never even think about saying that. That's pretty good. But it wasn't in a weird way. It was just in a very genuine, it is the most important thing. And there's just so many things that I still think she's the most interesting person. Human, not perfect, all that same kind of stuff, right? She married me, so she has that imperfection. But, she's just the real deal. I mean, I would get in the car. It never occurred to me to listen to Christian music. I like Christian music, but it wasn't on in my car. You get in her car, it's always on, stuff like that. She's that kind of person. And, She grew up in a great Christian family home. Her parents are both strong believers. Almost all of her family. She went to Baylor. Her mother went to Baylor. Her brother went to a private Christian school in California, and it's just been such a big part of their life. And so anyway, it had a lot of effect on me. Mm-hmm. And I think it was through that it was like I just felt Jesus shaking me, going, "Dude, here's your chance. Mm-hmm. You got it. You know the path." Now, you either get on it or you don't. And there was a lot of whys there. And I remember coming to these whys in the road and going, okay, Jesus, I'm not comfortable, but I'm going. And I was kind of kicking and screaming a little bit. And that path started really 9 years ago.
Can you give us an example of one of those whys, just out of curiosity?
Oh, lots of them. One that comes to mind with, this is kind of relationship-centric, but with my now wife. So we'd been out a couple times, and I met her out the first time, met on the ski lift, and then we got back to Houston, got in touch, met her out, we had drinks and went and had dinner. Mm-hmm. Then I asked her out on a date. And so that was the first time I actually went to pick her up, took her to a basketball game and dinner, had a great time. Mm-hmm. And then we went to church together. So it would have been like our second really date, which is great. So, I'd been over there a couple times. I'd, done my thing. Mm-hmm. And so we were going to go out the next week with a girl that I grew up with, a lifelong friend of mine that's an attorney, and her husband is Lebanese, and they're over there kind of by my office. And so I sent her like a note and said, do you want to come over and meet me at my office, or I might probably live to this apartment by my office, and we'll go pick them up and we'll go have Thai food. And she sent back some email that sort of said like something to the effect of, I appreciate you wanting to be efficient and green and all this kind of stuff, because I was going to have to drive out of my way to go get her and then turn around and drive right back through all this nasty traffic and pass back where I was. But she said, I really am like more into chivalry and pick me up. And I remember scratching my head. I was actually kind of mad about it. I really I thought about taking that wine and just going, see ya, screw you, would have done that a lot of times in my life. And this guy that worked for me knew her, and I asked him, and he's like, Tracy D, I like you, but if this is the girl you want, I think it's going to take everything you've got and more. And I was like, what do you think I ought to do? And he goes, I think you ought to call her and say, hey, I just, kind of got out of a few things I was working on, and I can come pick you up, or we can meet, and she'll either say, yep, that'd be great, or she'll say, no, big deal, I was just kidding, I'll come meet you. So I did, and she said, yeah, that'd be great. Come pick me up. And so I did. I probably, made a few... maybe said a couple of bad words on the nasty traffic on the way over there and on the way back. But so little things like that are just, you can tell that kind of you got to lean back and say, God, you take the, you take the steering wheel. we're not co-pilots. You're the pilot, and I'm like I said, you're on the floor saying, you're God, I'm not.
Something that always strikes me about love, Christ calls us to serve. And I don't know about you guys. You guys are probably much better than I, but I'm a terrible server. To be frank, I'd rather be served. But serving is the key for us to finding freedom, is what I've been learning. And as guys, I think we wrestle so often with being self-centered or efficient and not really learning how to serve. And I think our wives or girlfriends at that time, right? I know Rita does this for me. She helps bring out better parts of me that I wouldn't necessarily choose to work on. Like, for example, it just makes more sense. You just drive here, I'll meet you here, we both go back, blah, blah, blah. It's simple, it's efficient, it's smart, it's prudent. But that's not life. If we're called to love our wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, right? Our wives give us an opportunity to serve and to grow in maturity, and learning how to appreciate that, I think, is so valuable. Like when you look back now, Tracy, and you think of that story of the why in the road. And do I, like, this woman actually wants me to, like, go out of my way to pick her up when she could have just driven herself there. And you look back, did that have any more purpose or meaning to you as you look back in hindsight of how us as men, we have to wrestle ourselves to serve those that God calls us to serve, like our wives and our communities?
Yeah, I'm still mad about it. No, I'm not. I think we get caught up in all these things all the time about how important this is and how it makes us mad, and countless every day. And if you just stop and say, is this going to matter in 5 years from now? And of course, that extra 30 minutes didn't matter at all. But it was more of I think she's a very principled, like, it was, you're going to pursue me and you're going to do it the right way. And we're going to start off that way, or this isn't going to go anywhere. And it was, I think a lot of times our Heavenly Father is doing the same thing. I mean, we can do it the easy way or the hard way. And we know who's going to win in the end. I mean, the book is written, right? It's the most well-published book in the history of time, and we don't have to wonder who won the football game. So we can either get on track, slower. It took me a long time, to and still learning every day, or we can. Some people do it faster. She was fortunately a much faster learner than I was, but so she has a lot less damage, I think, in her life and to her body. But that's a whole other story. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful for all those struggles and failures and hard times, because I think they just draw you, eventually closer to our Creator. Yeah.
And I think the things that make us look introspective, is that right? Introspectively?
It's close enough.
Those are so important, but I think as men we don't do that enough. What are the things I need to look inward concerning me so that I'm more useful in this life that I have? And I think when we can do that, I think we find greater meaning in life. And we find the why. We come to a why road. Do I go left or right? But we find the why. This is why I exist, to serve, to care for these people, to build up, to edify. I think, versus me.
Yeah.
And I think when we as men get to that point of going here into our heart and looking deeply, that's when we really see the biggest gains.
Yeah.
And then we find out, on the contrary, it's not about me. It's about those that God's put me in community with to serve and to care about them.
Yeah, so you're talking, that's not about me. That's so the number one book published was obviously the Bible, and the second most published book. Do you know what it is? It's
Rick Warren, right?
Rick Warren, right?
Yeah, Rick Warren, and what's the purpose-driven life?
Yeah.
What's the first thing say in the book?
It's not about me.
you.
Yes,
it's not. And man, if we can get through that, because everything's about us, right? We wake up that way. It's the way that we're built. It's about me. And I even think back to like that why with my wife. It's funny because I can even see that today. Like you kind of go, but this doesn't make any sense. This is so inefficient. But so you freeze that for a second. I'm talking to guys that are business guys out there and say, so what, Tracy, if that was one of your new prospects that was this big deal? And
you would have been out there lickety-split.
Yeah, let's go to lunch over here. And you're like, no, I want to go to lunch here. No, we want to go over there. And you're like, all right, great. Over there works great. Right? I mean, sometimes I feel like that. I want to go over here, but they want to go to lunch there. And you're like, all right, we're going to go there. Yeah. And so, we spend so much work and time and effort for our business, which is not unimportant, but we've got to spend more than that on our things we love the most, our family, our kids, our wife, our spouse, our significant other, and say, hey, you're important too. It's not just about business. Not that our business isn't important.
So maybe because we're wrapping up, one last question, because we're in the Father's Day season, and obviously you have a lot of experience. You're a father yourself, but also you're mentoring kids through the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I'm just kind of wondering from your experience, what do you think is you found is the most effective way to impact kids?
Wow. Great question. Well, I don't have a ton of parenting experience since I have a 22-month-old, so I have officially 2 years of it, but I do have a lot of experience and love kids and working with mentoring kids. I think each one of them are a little bit different, but it's what we found through Big Brothers Big Sisters is the consistent time spent with them. With big brothers, I mean, the commitment's really not that big. They want a year commitment and to see them once or twice a month, about 4 hours a month. But if you're not going to commit to do it for a year, and you're not going to commit to see them, whatever it takes, once or twice a month, then it can do more damage than good. And so obviously you want to do more good than damage. So I think with anybody, it's that consistent, repetitive time and saying, hey, you're important to me, and I show up when I say I'm going to show up, and I try to always just expose them to different things that are different. Like my big brother exposed to me to different things than I knew. So with kids nowadays, I try to get them out of the house. They're always in the house on computers and video games. So I try to get them out in the yard or go for a walk through the neighborhood or Memorial Park, or go do some chores, projects, odds and ends around the house, things like that.
Work with the hands.
Yeah, things that are different.
Tracy, it's been a joy getting to know you, and I'm actually looking forward to getting to know you more, because guys that have a passion for Jesus, who get it, I don't want to live for myself. How do we serve Him, and how do we love others? That's exciting stuff, and if we can get more guys in community and fellowship and just do as God leads us, it's going to be exciting to see what God does here in Harris County, Montgomery County, Houston, right? The areas we live.
Yeah, Fort Bend County, sure.
Man, it's going to be fantastic. So I'm excited to be in community with you and getting to know you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy.
Guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
God bless you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
You as well.